All right, Uma Fight Camp. You know, by now you should know that when I come out and I say something, all right, about the sport of boxing, it's because something has ticked me off. Okay? Basically, all right, because I'm a advocate of self-protection. That's what I teach. I generally do not teach the sport of boxing unless someone makes an appointment. Then, I'll teach them on the weekends. What I generally teach during the week is self-protection. That's what I teach. Okay. So when I am talking about the sport of boxing, you know that something has pissed me off. Something has. Okay? Based on my viewing habits, as YouTube does, I was told that there was something to the right of my own video. There was something about Danny Garcia. Okay? And I just clicked on the video. Now, the only time I ever click on someone else's video is if someone asks me to look at it and give them my opinion of whatever's done in that video, or I'm curious about something that might be connected to a video that I've done for whatever reason, okay? Based on data collection, all right, by Google or whatever. There was something said about Danny Garcia. Now, then when I looked at that video, okay, there's only so much of it I could take, but when I looked at that particular video, I noticed that there were other videos that were saying basically the same thing. So I'm going to come out and say how I feel about what people are saying about Danny Garcia and about Danny Garcia himself. Okay. Right from the beginning, right from the rip, so you know what you're going to get in this video, Danny Garcia is one of the most underappreciated fighters in boxing. That's right. Danny Garcia is one of the most underappreciated fighters in boxing, right? And underrated fighters in boxing. And he is underrated unfairly, okay? Unfairly. For some time, Danny Garcia has been one of my favorite fighters in boxing. He is, in fact, Danny Garcia, I will go as far as to say that he is a trainer's dream. If there is one fighter that I would have loved to train, in fact, with me not training him, if there's one fighter that I would like to say, you know what, good job, I'm proud of you, man, best luck in the future, it is Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia. I will tell you why. Danny Garcia, at a time when virtually every minority fighter, well, not necessarily minorities, because there's more people of color than other people, but the minority of fighters in the United States, right? With virtually every one of them thinking the only way to fight is like Floyd Mayweather. It is a pleasure to see someone who has gotten to the top level of boxing by using the basics. Just the basics. That's it. That's it. Just the basics. We are talking about a guy who people say is slow of foot. We're talking about a fighter who people say has slow hands, right? He is not extremely tall. He is not extremely muscular, right? And yet, he is one of the most consistent fighters in boxing, bar none. One of the most consistent fighters in boxing, bar none. We're talking about a man who has a chin. We're talking about a man who, since he is not exceptionally fast, how do you think he gets his knockouts? Timing. By timing. Danny Garcia is a poster boy, right, for basics. Now, let me go a little further, right? Let me get down to the facts. We're talking about a guy who was undefeated, and then when he fights Keith Thurman, the best welterweight until proven otherwise, right? He's the best welterweight in the world. Until proven otherwise, until he's beaten by someone, he's the best welterweight in the world. Okay. And Danny Garcia, although I believe he lost, yes, he did lose to Keith Thurman, the judges said he lost a split decision. Now, although he lost to Keith Thurman, all right, And I say he lost to Keith Thurman. There's no way he won that fight. No matter what Garcia and his father may think. He didn't win that fight. But, on paper, the judges say he lost a split decision. So here's a man who was undefeated. Then he fights the best welterweight in the world. More hand speed, more foot speed, probably more power. Right? And he loses a split decision. A split decision. And still he's not appreciated. Now, I'm going to show you the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy. Alright? When people look at Danny Garcia, I'm going to show you the hypocrisy. He hasn't fought anyone. That's what people say. He hasn't fought anyone. Now, I didn't do any research prior to doing the research. And I knew basically what I was talking about. You know, I don't need to listen to podcasts and look at everybody's video to know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this thing for too long. I've been doing this thing now for like 40 years. Boxing, teaching boxing, studying boxing for like 40 years. Okay? So the bottom, I still put on the gloves. At 56 years old, I still put on the gloves. Still got good defense. Still hit hard. Still speed. 56. It's what I do. Right? So I don't have to do a whole lot of research, but I did some because I know some of you people will come up with some nonsense, so I'm going to tell you. Right? This is how it goes. He didn't fight anybody. Danny Garcia didn't fight anybody. And this is what people say to discredit the man. Here's the hypocrisy with this. Let's look at common opponents. Samuel Vargas. Samuel Vargas. Now, he TKOs Samuel Vargas in 7 rounds. He TKOs him in 7 rounds. All right. Now, why does he fight Samuel Vargas? He fights Samuel Vargas because Samuel Vargas had a 5-fight win streak. He fights Samuel Vargas because Samuel Vargas earned a title shot because he had a 5-fight win streak. 5-fight win streak. Okay? Now before that win streak, okay, before Danny Garcia beat him, who beat Samuel Vargas? Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr., who I've told you people about years ago. When Floyd Mayweather was active, I told you people, and particularly black folks, I told you, get off of Floyd Mayweather and start supporting Errol Spence and start supporting Terrence Crawford. If you know anything about me, you know I said that years ago while Floyd was still active, you know, picking easy opponents. Okay? You know it. Okay? If anybody doesn't know it, then if anybody knows it, you can come into this forum and remind people that I said that years ago when Floyd was still active. Okay? Before he even announced his retirement. I said, jump on check out Terrence Crawford and check out Errol Spence Jr. However, facts are facts. Errol Spence Jr. beat Samuel Vargas. Samuel Vargas now has a 5-fight win streak. Gets on a winning brand, starts winning again. And then he gets TKO'd in 7 by Danny Garcia. Okay. 2015. Another opponent. Danny Garcia beats Lamont Peterson. In 2015, he beats Lamont Peterson. He beats him. Okay? 3 years later, who beats and fights Lamont Peterson? Errol Spence Jr. In fact, many of you who say Errol Spence Jr. is indestructible, most of you are basing it on what? Potential and who he fought. Well, who's the last person you said is proof that he's indestructible? Lamont Peterson, right? Well, he fought Lamont Peterson 3 years after Danny Garcia beat Lamont Peterson. Okay? 3 years after. Danny Garcia beats Lamont Peterson. Errol Spence Jr. fights and nobody says anything. Nobody says, oh man, it ain't no big deal. No matter how much he stopped him, no matter what he did to him, it's still 3 years after Danny Garcia fought him and beat him. So let's look at somebody else. Lucas Mateusz. He fights Lucas Mateusz. Now, why does he fight Lucas Mateusz? Most of you have who want to criticize Danny Garcia, most of you have very short memories. Lucas Mateusz was a destroyer of the 140-pound division. Was a destroyer of the 140-pound division. Lucas Mateusz. Okay? So let's just be honest about this thing. Right? Now, he beats Lucas Mateusz. Okay? Now, what was Lucas Mateusz coming off of? What kind of fight was he coming off of when he earned the right to fight Daniel Garcia? What? Destroying Lamont Peterson. Right? I believe he TKO'd Lamont Peterson. Right? This Lucas Mateusz. Right? And he earned the right to fight Danny Garcia based on that. Okay? So we got Lucas Mateusz. A bum? No. Lucas Mateusz is still good. Danny Garcia beat him. Okay? Now, let's look at another fighter. I was curious as to when the talk was about Amir Khan fighting Floyd Mayweather. When was the talk of Amir Khan fighting Floyd Mayweather? In other words, what I'm trying to say, people, is when were Floyd Mayweather fans willing to accept Amir Khan as an opponent for Danny Garcia? When? When? They were willing to accept Amir Khan as an opponent, as a viable, deserving opponent for Floyd Mayweather in 2014. Right? A 2014 Amir Khan, Floyd Mayweather fans would have said, hey, good, you'll fight him, I'll support you. Go ahead and make another $100, $200 million to fight Amir Khan, no problem. They said this in 2014. Right? Guess what? Guess what? Danny Garcia TKOs him in 4 in 2012. 2 years before you people are willing to accept Amir Khan as an opponent for Floyd Mayweather, right? He's TKO'd in 4 by Danny Garcia. And he's TKO'd in 4 what? After weathering the storm against Amir Khan. The same elements that made you say that Amir Khan will be a good opponent for Floyd Mayweather because of his speed, Danny Garcia stuck with that man. Stuck with him, stayed in there, slow of foot, slow of hand, supposedly. Right? Some of you even go as far as to say some nonsense like no defense. Like he could survive the onslaught of faster fighters with no defense. That's ridiculous in itself. But 2 years before you were willing to accept, not all of you obviously, but 2 years before Floyd Mayweather fans were willing to accept Amir Khan as an opponent for Floyd Mayweather, Danny Garcia beat him. And guess what happened? That Amir Khan was good enough to go on a win streak. That same Amir Khan that Danny Garcia beat was good enough still to go on a win streak and beat Carlos Molina, Julio Diaz, Luis Collazo, Chris Algieri, and Devin Alexander. Okay? Now, again, the Amir Khan that Danny Garcia TKO'd, right, was good enough after losing to Danny Garcia. He was good enough to beat Carlos Molina, Julio Diaz, Luis Collazo, Chris Algieri, and Devin Alexander. Ultimately fighting Alvarez, Canelo Alvarez, right, in 2016. So now we got Samuel Vargas. Okay? He fights Samuel Vargas, TKO in 7. Okay, last guy that had beat him before he fought him was Errol Spence. Lamont Peterson, 2015, he beats Lamont Peterson. I don't know if he knocked him out, I don't think so. But he beats Lamont Peterson in 2015. 3 years later, Errol Spence Jr. fights him and you don't say anything about it. He destroys Lamont Peterson, but still, it's 3 years later he fights him. No problem there. Lucas Mateusz earned a shot against the guy. He was a destroyer at 140. A complete destroyer at 140, right? He TKOs Lamont Peterson, thereby earning a right to fight Garcia. Garcia beats him, right? Amir Khan gets TKO'd in the 4th by Garcia, right? And Floyd Mayweather is talking about fighting him 2 years later. Fighting the same Amir Khan 2 years later. Floyd Mayweather fans had no issue with it. So since when didn't Garcia fight anybody? Of course he fought people. Of course he did, and he beat them. Being slow of foot, supposedly slow of hand, supposedly not having a good defense, right? The only thing people really ain't talking about is his chin, because his chin is rock. So, now, let me tell you something that you're only going to get from somebody that knows boxing. Danny Garcia. One of the things Danny Garcia does, even better than Floyd Mayweather. That's right. That's right. Floyd Mayweather has gotten credit for staying in the pocket. He stays in the pocket. He'll stay in the pocket and he'll counterpunch. He stays in the pocket and he'll throw a right hand. Well, how do you think Danny Garcia gets his knockouts? Watch him fight. How do you think Danny Garcia got his knockouts? How? By staying in the pocket. And he doesn't stay in the pocket by being defensive. He stays in the pocket by being squared up. Look how he knocked out Brandon Rios. Okay? Who was a punching bag, true. But Brandon Rios brought his fight. He brought his A game. He brought as much of his A game as he could to fight Garcia. But look how he got that knockout. He got that knockout by staying in the pocket and squaring up in the pocket. You know how skilled and how fearless you have to be to square up in the pocket and look at a punch coming in and get your shot off? You know how hard that is? Try it one day. Try it, right? Amir Khan. How did he, when Amir Khan's going into that combination, look when he caught Amir Khan with that left hook. Look what Amir Khan was doing. Amir Khan was getting ready to let loose on his behind. Was trying to let loose on his behind. He didn't go into some defensive shell. He knew that his chance of getting Amir Khan was mid-combination. He knew his chance of getting to Amir Khan and knocking him out was in between his punches. So he stood there and caught him with that left hook in between his punches, staying in a pocket squared. Now that's some real knowledge. That's some real boxing knowledge. When somebody can tell you about staying in a pocket squared, you probably never heard that before. But I'm telling you, staying in a pocket squared is extremely difficult to stay in a pocket squared up. When somebody's throwing punches at you like meteors and you're watching them come in and you're waiting for that opening. It's one thing to turn this way and stay in the pocket like Floyd. It's another thing to stay in the pocket here. Here, catch one, block one, get yours off. Catch one, catch two, get one off. That's staying in the pocket. Danny Garcia is one of the most underrated fighters in boxing. And anybody on any channel that says Danny Garcia is a bum or Danny Garcia is overrated, you tell them Safe Carmen said they're lucky they have YouTube. Because if they had to make any money on their knowledge, they would be broke. Danny Garcia is a trainer's dream. Uma Fight Camp, Safe Carmen, train hard, train smart. Practice your basics, boys. See you next video.